This is the Brewers POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the Milwaukee Brewers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Make it 2 wins in a row for your Milwaukee Brewers. A dominant from start to finish 5-1 win over the Houston Astros at American Family Field. Hello, everyone. My name is Brandon Snide. Welcome in to the Locked On Brewers postcast here on YouTube. Thanks for always making Locked On Brewers your first and last listen now each and every day. Chuck Freeman on your daily podcasts. Again, my name is Brandon. I got you on the postcast show. Lots to get to for tonight's 5-1 win over the Houston Astros. Tobias Myers, is that back? Is he back, baby? I mean, he looked pretty darn good out there, minus a little bit of a blip. We'll talk about that. Has this swagger seemed to have swung back in the favor of the Milwaukee Brewers? Have they regained some of that swagger? We'll talk a little bit about that and some injury updates for this Milwaukee Brewers. But we get into the summary of this game. And again, Tobias Myers getting the start, 5 1/3 innings pitched, 6 hits allowed, just the 1 earned run. He had a couple of strikeouts. But the key for Tobias Myers tonight in the Brewers 5-1 win, and he gets the win, was that he was able to throw strikes. And that has been kind of his Achilles heel in the early part of the season. He had the late start as he was coming back from the oblique injury. 80 total pitches tonight thrown for Tobias Myers. 58 of them crossed the plate for strikes. He was really, really good. And it kind of started with Joey Ortiz there in the second inning. Had the double. William Contreras bringing around Joey Ortiz to give it a 1-0 lead. And then another guy who I know a lot of you guys have talked about, man, we need to see more out of him. He's been, his bat hasn't been what it needs to be. Christian Yelich in the third inning, a 2-run, absolute no-doubter to the Toyota territory there in right center for the Brewers. That brought the game to a 3-0 lead for Tobias Myers, which brings us to the 6th inning. And it was the only blip I would have to say about this game. and although it was, but it really didn't do much. He did allow the 1 run. It was Jose Altuve scoring on a fielder's choice. He had the opportunity to score that double play. He could have went home with it too. Altuve would have been dead to rights, but he decided to go to second. An errant throw over there to Caleb Durbin, who couldn't make the play at second base. Everybody was safe. However, that's going to bring us to our turning point in that game, because 3-1 right there, you're like, okay, here we go again. The Brewers self-inflicting paper cuts with this team, kind of allowing guys to get on. They hadn't really hit a ball really out of the infield with any kind of power or anything really get going for this Houston Astros offense. But the Brewers just allowed them to kind of sort of crawl their way back into this. It was 3-1. The bases became loaded. And that is when we get to our turning point in this game.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
Which, again, in the 6th inning, bases are loaded. Tobias Myers had 1 out recorded. He had an opportunity to turn a double play, failed to make a good throw to second base on a fielder's choice, a soft grounder to him at the pitcher's mound. But then they bring in Nick Mears, who has been the unsung hero out of the bullpen for this Milwaukee Brewers team, seemingly all season long, and most notably as of late. Bases loaded. What does Nick Mears do? He surrenders the Houston Astros offense without scoring any more runs. His first guy, as the camera panned to the Brewers dugout in the television broadcast, was Tobias Myers, giving him a standing ovation for getting out of that inning with a strikeout and a ground out. And that was the turning point for me in this game, because it was an opportunity for Houston. All they needed was 1 hit. Again, just 1 out. Even if you get a sac fly, you get another run across. It may change the dynamic of this game, but the Brewers and Nick Mears most notably prohibited that from happening. And you got to give a lot of credit to Pat Murphy for making that. It would have been easy for him. I think personally would have been like, I would have liked to have seen Tobias crawl himself out of that hole that he created, but I think it was obviously the right call by Pat Murphy. I was hard on Pat Murphy Friday night in the Chicago Cubs game 1 loss 10-0, where he started Tyler Alexander in that game with Quinn Priester coming in later. I thought that was the right call by manager Pat Murphy in that moment. Now, Tobias Myers was dominant all game long. It would have been, I think a lot of people would have understood at 80 pitches, you could have left him in there to see if he can get himself out of that. But a bad pitch, a wild pitch, anything could have changed that game for the Brewers and really only a 2-run game at the time. So that is my turning point for tonight's game. A lot of reaction being poured in over on YouTube. And again, thanks to each and every one of you for always tuning into our YouTube live broadcast. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that thumbs up. Drum a loyal day every dayer here on the Locked On Brewers postcast. Let's stretch out this winning streak. Amen. We got to 2. Can we get to 3? And we're going to talk a little bit about that in the what you'll be talking about segment. So appreciate Drum. Jaden also on the YouTube chat. Myers has been awesome. Him and Myers, co-players of the game. So early player of the game nominations for Nick Myers and Tobias Myers. I like it. I don't think you can really argue either one of those. Nick Myers is going to get my turning point of the game for what he did in that 6th inning. Spoiler alert, he's not going to get my player of the game, although you could easily give it to him because I thought, again, he changed the dynamic of that game coming in that 6th inning without allowing anything else to cross the plate with the bases loaded and only 1 out. And that's a high leverage situation, but he's kind of been that guy for the Brewers out of the bullpen this year. And also give credit to Joel Payamps. I know he came in with a 4-run lead in the 9th inning. The Brewers beat the Houston Astros tonight by a final score of 5-1. The Brewers now winners of 2 in a row, and they're back at 500, 18-18 on the season. They improved their home record to 11-6. So a lot of you were pouring in with your player of the game. Nick, an everydayer over there on the YouTube chat. Let's go, Brew Crew. Player of the game is Nick Myers. So we got a couple of you guys for Nick Myers already. I appreciate it. I can see why, right? I can see why, and that's why he was my turning point of the game. But without further ado, let's get into my player of the game.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
A lot of you guys are pointing at Nick Myers as you see Nick on the YouTube chat discussing Nick Myers. Drum also talking about Nick Myers and turning this into a winning streak. But I think you got to point to the 3rd inning for me. And it's a guy that coming into this season, most of us said the Brewers are going to go as far as number 22 is willing or able to take this team, right? We know what the special talent Jackson Chourio has. We know that this team plays, great defense, especially, well, obviously last year they played great defense with a couple of Gold Glove and Platinum Glove winners. The bullpen had been a strength of this team in the past. The way that they're able to pressure defenses with their stealing bases and being able to get ahead of counts and be aggressive and put early runs on the board for their starting pitching. We always can agree and pinpoint back to Christian Yelich this is going to be his team, right? There's no doubt about it. He's your highest paid player. He's a former MVP. He's the reason you give him the contract you give him is to take a team, a young team, and elevate them to the next level. And tonight he did that. And I thought what he was able to do in that 3rd inning, and it is no doubt about it. He has struggled coming into tonight. His batting average was just over 200. He had a abysmal series against the Chicago Cubs over the weekend. He just hasn't been good. He had a very strong spring training to start the year for the Milwaukee Brewers out there in Arizona. Hasn't been the same player to begin the year in the first month plus or so. But tonight, that 3rd inning 2-run bomb to right center, that helped really, that gave the Brewers at the moment, that 3-run cushion. They eventually go on to win 5-1. But that was the cushion that this team needed. I think that cushion in that 3rd inning allowed Tobias Myers to kind of settle in a little bit more. It allowed him to ease into the game a little bit more and throw strikes and have the confidence to go into each inning with a little bit of a lead. And I thought that swing from Yelich off that bat, that's the MVP swing from Yelich that we have grown accustomed to seeing over the course of a handful of years. And I thought tonight was a great example of that. He gets my player of the game. It was just good to see him go deep. His last home run, believe it or not, April 22nd in San Francisco. So it had been a little bit for Christian Yelich. And a lot of you mentioned Myers. If I had to give you an honorable mention, it would go Tobias Myers. Again, I told you in the Brewers 5-1 win tonight against the Houston Astros, 80 pitches thrown tonight, 58 of them for strikes. And again, like I said at the beginning of the show, when he throws strikes, he is really, 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 really good. No one passed first base for Myers until the 6th inning. I mean, that's what you talk. That's the definition of dominance from a starting pitcher. That's it right there. a runner not passing first base until the 6th inning. And again, that's where the Houston Astros scored their only run, which was really self-inflicted because the Brewers could have easily have gotten out of that had Tobias Myers either gone home against Jose Altuve and would have easily had the tag out of him, or he makes a better throw to second base and they're able to turn the double play and get out of the inning. But again, when Tobias Myers was yanked, and a couple of you have mentioned Tobias Myers as the player of the game, and I totally respect that, and I think you can make the case for that. When he was pulled from that White Sox game in the 2nd inning, tonight was a great bounce back game for him. I mean, it was a great bounce back game for him. There are some pop, and I know Alvarez for Houston didn't play tonight, but there are still some pops in that lineup for Houston. And I think tonight for Tobias Myers to have that bounce back performance, to be able to go out there and look like the guy that we saw last year, I think that speaks volumes for the pitcher that he is and what the Brewers are going to need going forward. So good stuff there from Tobias Myers. Again, the 5 1/3 innings pitched, just the 1 earned run. All right, we got a what you'll be talking about segment coming up, and I'm curious for your thoughts. So if you're on the YouTube chat, I'd be curious to hear what your thoughts are in regards to, did the Brewers regain their swagger a little bit? We'll talk about that coming up next. Tonight's show is brought to you by Monarch Money. Have you ever checked your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? When you have 5 kids like me, you think about it quite often between dining out, online shopping. I have 3 daughters, entertainment. It is easy to lose track, and that's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. It's not just one of those budgeting apps. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you stop just managing your money and you start building the wealth that you so deserve. When I first started using Monarch, I realized just how much I was spending on food delivery, how much I was spending on Amazon, and now I budget smarter and I save more. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off of your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year. Again, LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com. Again, code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year. And the program is also brought to you by Upwork. Scaling your business requires the right expertise at the right time. With Upwork, you can find specialized freelancers in marketing, development, design, and more, experts ready to help take your business to the next level. Upwork gives businesses flexibility by connecting them with top freelance talent across multiple industries, including IT, AI, web development, and marketing. Whether you need extra hands for a project or a long-term partner, Upwork makes hiring simple and affordable. Listen, if you need help with marketing campaigns, Upwork can connect you with a freelance expert who delivered incredible results. Visit Upwork.com right now and post your job for free. That's UPWORK.com, Upwork.com, to connect with a top talent and grow your business today. Again, Upwork.com. All right, we talked about what you'll be talking about tomorrow in the Milwaukee Brewers 5-1 win over the Houston Astros. Not a winning streak yet. 2 games in a row. They improved to 18-18 on the season. A 5-1 win in front of the home crowd tonight. A much-needed Brewers win. You didn't want that Cubs win on Sunday to fall at the wayside. And I thought tonight the Milwaukee Brewers did just that, start to finish, dominating the Houston Astros by a final score of 5-1. I teased the segment of what you'll talk about tomorrow, but I wanted to get into some more of your reaction, because this is a show for each and every one of you Brewers fans out there, because this is where we vent. This is where we have our therapy sessions. But tonight, this is where we celebrate. And again, lots of reaction coming back. John, let's go back to 500. That's absolutely right. And again, it's not going to knock your socks off, right? You're back at 500. It's not going to be like, man, let's be happy about being back to 500. But when you have the injuries this Milwaukee Brewers team has sustained, and now the latest is Sal Frelick, although it's not serious with that knee soreness. Bryce Terrain also missing tonight's game with the illness. He's still trying to work his way back. Being at 500 is a big deal. It's a big deal. And again, I know I kind of raised a red flag after the Brewers got embarrassed against the Chicago Cubs on Friday night of last week, and then they lost on Saturday, and I was visibly upset because I hate Chicago more than anything. This is a 500 team at 18-18, and there still is a lot of season left. Rhys Hoskins said that too. He also said at some point, there isn't a lot of season left, so they got to get back to it. And I thought Sunday's win against the Chicago Cubs, a 4-0 win over the Cubs in Game 3, and tonight's 5-1 win, it felt like tonight was the Brewers team of last year. So that was encouraging to see. A couple more comments here before we get things wrapped up with the what you'll be talking about. Rudy over on YouTube, the bullpen didn't just hold it down. They handled a 10-6 inning like veterans. That's a sign of trust between the coaching staff and the arms coming out of the pen. Absolutely. I think that's a fantastic comment. And again, Rudy's, thanks for tuning in on YouTube. Again, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, drop a comment, drop a thought. I agree. And I give credit, again, to Pat Murphy. If I'm going to knock him for Tyler Alexander starting the game Friday night against the Chicago Cubs, I'm going to give him a pat on the back. Pat Murphy. Just had to throw that out there. On the back for going out there, even a game that Tobias Myers, the best game we've seen him so far this year, to be like, okay, give me the ball. Let's calm down a little bit. Let's go get Nick Mears, guy that's proven to do it. This guy's been the most trusted guy coming out of the pen, and just shuts down the Astros with the bases loaded with only one out coming into the game. That was absolutely huge. And again, a resilient moment in this game for that, pitching staff, for this Brewers team, and certainly for Pat Murphy. All right, I teased it. Let's talk about it. The things you'll be talking about tomorrow after the Brewers 5-1 win over the Houston Astros.
This is what you'll be talking about.
Mentioned it felt like the Brewers team of last year. And again, let's preface this with it's one win, right? Well, it's 2 in a row, but tonight's just one win. I don't want to get too high. I don't want to get too low. I probably got too low against the Cubs, but I don't want to get too high tonight. But I'll say this. Tonight felt like the swagger for the Milwaukee Brewers was back. Maybe not all the way back a little bit, right? Yelich hits that home run. A no-doubter. Soon as it left the bat, everybody knew that was heading over the fence. That felt really good. Multiple stolen bases tonight. Getting on base and being a threat. Murph ball. We had talked about it. Being a threat on the base pass. Not getting picked off. Not being lackadaisical on the first base and leaning towards second and getting an out caused on your own self-inflicting wounds. That didn't happen tonight. Again, defense minus the 6th inning, which again was one bad throw from Tobias Myers from getting out of that with nothing. With absolutely nothing, it would have been a 5-0 win for the Brewers tonight, had that not happened. But again, outside of that 6th inning little blip, of an excited Tobias Myers, because it looked like he was almost indecisive, when he got the ball. But again, you take that one run crosses the plate. Nick Mears comes in and shuts it down. You guys had mentioned it, the pitching. Rudy's mentioned it on the YouTube comment. Being able to go to your bullpen in a tense moment in this game. You don't want that Chicago Cubs win to go to the, fall to the wayside. Going to get Nick Mears. Bases are loaded. Talk about a high leverage situation. Bases loaded, 1 out, a hit ties the game. Nick Mears shuts them down. It just felt like a little bit of their swagger, a little bit of their confidence has come back, even if it's just 1 or 2 games. And tonight was just one game. And one real final thought here from Rudy's. This game showed what the Brewers are when they're at their best. Smart, scrappy, and timely. They don't rely on the lawn ball alone. They manufacture runs, play defense, and execute. Rudy's, totally agree. We have categorized that as Murph ball. That is Murph ball summed up in one comment. And again, I appreciate those comments because you're absolutely right. And that was on display tonight for the Milwaukee Brewers in a 5-1 win over the Houston Astros. The Brewers with that win improving to 18-18, and they'll try to do it again tomorrow night. And that's where you'll find me following the final pitch. And again, my thanks to each and every one of you for tuning in over there on YouTube and dropping a comments, dropping your thoughts. Greatly, greatly appreciated. Before you go, please hit that subscribe button. Please hit that thumbs up button. Drop some more comments. We'll get to them all season long here on the Locked On Brewers postcast. My name has been Brandon Snide. You can follow me over on Twitter at Brandon_Snide. And again, thank you for always making Locked On Brewers your first and last listen each and every day. Talk to you again tomorrow. And as always, go Brewers.